Morning, councillors. We're ready to start. If you could take your seats, please. Councillors, the cocktail party is over. Let's get down to business. Yes, no, thank you. Thank you, councillor. Sorry to interrupt. Now I can see. Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Councillor James Pasternak. I'm the chair of North York Community Council. We do have quorum. The cocktail party is over. I am now calling meeting 32 to order. Although we're meeting in different locations today, North York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we're meeting on is situated on the territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples. It's now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississauga of the Credit. Today's meeting is being held by video conference. It's being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. If you're registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I'll call speakers in the order that they appear on the list. The list of the speakers can be viewed online by visiting North York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council, clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. The city clerk has provided all agenda materials at toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT and staff are available to assist when needed. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? I do not see any. May I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting of March 31st, 2026? Councillor Chernos Lynn, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So we have 25 items on today's agenda. We'll run through non-timed items and we'll hold those for debate. 32.1, 15 Marchwood Drive, application to remove a private tree. We'll hold for speakers. 32.2, Parmbelle Crescent zoning amendment application, final report. We will hold for speakers. .4, 179 to 181 Finch Avenue East, official plan amendment and zoning amendment application approval. Item number 3, Wynford Concorde focused area study, final report. We're going to hold that as a timed item. Number 4 is also a timed item. We'll come back to that. It's also being held for speakers. Number 5, Yonge North Subway Extension and Ontario Line initiated zoning bylaw amendments. That also is a timed item and no speakers on the item. Number 6, 3140, 3150, and 3170 Dufferin Street. Councillor Cole, yes, you're moving.
Staff report.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 32.7, 3180 Dufferin Street. Class 4 noise area classification, final report.
Move staff report.
Staff recommendations moved by Councillor Cole. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 32.8, 19 Lytton Boulevard, application to remove a private tree. That is held for speakers. Number 9, 103 Roslin Avenue, application to remove a private tree. Held for speakers. Number 11, Wilson Avenue between... Number 10, 14 Pressbury Street, application to remove a private tree. Councillor Burnside, I don't have any speakers listed. Okay, we have speakers for that. Number 11, Wilson Avenue between Bathurst Street and Wilson Heights Boulevard. Corridor safety review, I'll hold that. Number 12, Clyde Avenue and Brooke Avenue, all-way stop control.
Move staff report.
Staff recommendations moved by Councillor Cole. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 32.13 Rowley Avenue, removal of accessible parking space. Councillor Chernos Lynn, there's no speakers.
I'm happy to move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved on 13 Rowley Avenue, removal of accessible parking space. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 14, Vision Zero Road Safety Plan, speed limit reductions to 30 kilometers per hour on local roads, public lanes, adding existing 30 kilometers per hour collector roads in Ward 15. Councillor Chernos Lynn, I do not see any speakers on the...
I do have a few questions for staff, and I'd like to make remarks on it. So if we could hold it. Thank you.
Number 15, Chipsteed Road, traffic calming, speed humps, no speakers. Okay, we'll hold that for speakers. 3216, the Peanut Streets Plan. We'll hold for speakers.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if the speakers are in the audience yet, but I just wanted to flag for them. This is a big plan, and it's going to need a little more work and a round of consultation because there was such a low turnout. So I wanted to flag for the deputants that my plan is to refer this, and it will come back later in the year. So they may wish to wait until then to speak. I don't know if they're here yet. Don't see any hands going up. So I'll when we get back to that number on the agenda, that I'll let them know that before they speak.
Okay, I'm sorry. Councillor Carroll, you're deferring it?
I am, but I'm reluctant to move the motion right this very minute because I don't think the deputants are here. I just wanted to make sure that they were fine with that plan, and they're not here yet. It's item 16 on the agenda. They maybe thought they could come a little later. So if you could call for item 16 a little later in the day, and we'll make sure they understand that we're referring. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Okay. Just to clarify, are you deferring it or referring it? Are you referring it back to staff, or are you deferring the item to the
I'm
next?
going to be moving a motion to refer it back to staff. But we have actually, because it's such a big project, there are a couple that the community has really achieved a consensus on. So it's broken into two items, and if you move to 17, that one I will be adopting the staff recommendations.
Okay, number 17 is the Peanut Streets Plan, protected pedestrian crossings.
Yes, so those we can proceed with,
Okay,
but the complexities are all bundled in item
okay,
16.
we are gonna hold that for speakers.
Yeah.
Number 18, Adra Grado Way and Okra Tomar Crescent, pay and display parking. Councillor Carroll?
Very happy to move staff recommendations with thanks, because this was another complex one. Staff did some great work here.
Okay, I hope Toronto Parking Authority makes lots of money. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 19, Francine Drive, traffic calming speed humps. Once again, Councillor Carroll, I do not have deputants on the item.
No, because these folks know that I was going to move the referral motion. This one needs a little bit more work. So, yes, the clerks have posted it. I can move that referral right now.
Okay, referred to the May 26, 2026 meeting of North York Community Council.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Thanks so much.
Opposed? That is carried. Number 20, Ruddington Drive, traffic calming speed humps. Counselor Carroll?
These ones are very popular. I'm moving staff recommendations.
Okay, staff recommendations moved on number 20, Ruddington Drive. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 21, Duplex Avenue on-street electric vehicle charging stations. Parking amendments, delegated locations. Counselor Cheng?
I'm moving staff recommendations, thank you.
Okay, staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 22, appointment of stakeholder representative to the North Toronto Memorial Arena Board.
Move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved by Counselor Cole. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 23, reopening item NY 31.9, 71 Paper Birch Drive, application to remove a private tree. We do have a late speaker on that one. So we'll hold it. That is Counselor Burnside. Right?
Yeah, but we just want to reopen it, and that would be for the next session.
Yeah, so we
anyway,
need, yeah, that's true. We need two votes. One is to reopen, and one is to debate the item, and we do have.
But the debate would be at the next session, no? So we're just trying to reopen it to get it on the docket for the next time. So I don't know if we need a speaker.
Okay, so you're reopening it and then deferring it to the next meeting, because we have a speaker listed for today. Is that what you're doing?
Well, I didn't do anything, but we have a speaker, I think, for the reopening, but I think I have the votes to get it reopened so we can expedite that. Because it's going to come, it has to
Okay.
come back for another time.
Okay, so the speaker is talking not to the removal of tree, but to the reopening.
Well, that would be my presumption, because that's what this is about, yeah.
Okay. Oh, never know.
Well, they might be here to talk about the tree, but they can't.
Okay, I fully understood. Okay, so,
That would be for the-
pardon the confusion, and we'll hold that item down to see what the speaker wants to do. 24, Bradgate Road and Chatfield Drive, parking bylaw amendment to implement no parking. Counselor Burnside?
Sorry, what number was that?
24, Bradgate Road, sorry.
Do we have a speaker?
No speakers.
I think I have a recommendation to prohibit parking, yeah. Overnight, 1 a.m. to 6 a.m.
So this amends what's before us, amends the staff report?
Yeah, it's just there are concerns in the community about overnight parking. As you know, we already have the winter bylaw where you can't park between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. anyway. This really just continues that throughout the year.
Okay, all right. Motion is on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And 25, Draycott Drive, amends speed limit from 50 kilometers an hour to 40 kilometers an hour. Councillor Burnside.
Yeah, I have that's my recommendation. I'd like to-
Okay, Councillor Burnside's moving his own recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Oh, yes, okay, there is a walk-on item from Councillor Cole. Would you like to introduce it? Oh, there it is. Okay, it's on the screen.
I'd like to introduce a new business, a road alteration. We're trying to put in a queue jump lane there at Lawrence and the Allen. So I'd like to bring that forward. It's something recommended by the TTC. So I'd like to introduce that, and I would like to move staff recommendation or move the report.
Okay, so I think we need two votes here. One is to add it to the agenda.
Yeah.
So we'll vote to, all those in favor of adding it to the agenda. And Councillor Cole, we want to dispose of the item now. We don't have any speakers on this item? Okay. Okay, so we can vote on your item right now.
Yeah, I'd like to move the recommendation to install the queue jump lane as requested by TTC. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll need-
So we've added it to the agenda. And then Councillor Cole has a motion to amend the item we just added to the agenda. All right, so we have to vote on the amendment on the screen, and then we vote on the item as amended.
It is. It's just just asking for a 6-month review, report back in 6 months to see how it's going. Yeah.
Any questions for the mover, or we're good to vote? Okay, so the amendment is on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item is amended. Favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we can go back to the top of the agenda. I'm going to go to timed items. First timed item I see is item number 4. (179-181) Finch Avenue East. I have speakers on the item. I have Marshall Smith from KLM Planning. Okay, thank you very much. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members of council. Very pleased to be with you here today for 179 and 181 Finch Avenue East, and with a positive staff recommendation report for the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment that's before you today. We've been at this for a couple of years now. It started out with a 9-story building, and through discussions with the city, that project has transformed into a 7-story building, which is generally in line with the major streets policies and zoning that's in place today that permits up to a 6-story building. I should just make you aware that the 7 stories in this project, the 7th story in this project is related to an amenity space. And so it's really on the 7th floor only an indoor amenity space, which is paired with the outdoor rooftop amenity space, and that makes for a good and functional development. I should also mention that it's a rental tenure development as well. So this should complement the city's rental housing supply. And that gives us some advantages as well, or the owner advantages as well, in operating that building, having a site super available on the site 24 hours a day. Now, we're aware that there are still some concerns from the public. I'd like to just remind everybody that this is an official plan and zoning application today, so the drawings are conceptual and to a high level of detail, but we'll be going to a much greater level of detail through the future site plan process when we can do non-official plan or zoning related things to improve interfaces such as plantings, and to organize facilities within the building such as the waste collection room. We're happy to continue working with the community on those things. It's been a very collaborative process with the city. We're very proud of what's been achieved here as far as progress on the site, and I'm in your hands and at your disposal for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? No? The incredible shrinking building, if it shrunk anymore, it'd be a shed in the backyard. What do we got here? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Lydia Young? Ms. Young, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
To the west of the site. Before I begin my comments, I would like to note that I'm hard of hearing. If you have questions for me afterward, I kindly ask that you speak slowly and directly into your microphone so that I accurately hear and respond to you. Thank you. I'm here today to register my formal opposition to the proposed amendments for 179 to 181 Finch Avenue East. While I have many concerns, I want to focus on a critical technical noncompliance regarding the site setbacks. We are currently operating under bylaw 1062 2025 OLT, which was finalized by the Ontario Land Tribunal just months ago in September last year. Point 65 on page 24 of that law is very clear. Any building exceeding 25 meters in length must have a minimum side setback of 7.5 meters. The architectural drawings for this site show a building length of 33.87 meters. This clearly triggers that 7.5 meter requirement. Yet the developer is proposing a setback of only 2.4 meters on the east and a mere 2 meters on the west. This is not a minor adjustment. This is a 70% reduction of a recently settled legal standard. The developer is trying to cherry pick the benefits of the new major streets bylaw, taking the 7-story height and increased density, while completely ignoring the mandatory setback protections that were legislated to protect neighbors from that very height. A 7-story wall situated only 2 meters from my property line creates an overwhelming towering effect. It results in a total loss of privacy and natural light for my townhouse complex. Furthermore, on a narrow mid-block lot, a 2-meter setback is physically insufficient to manage the waste and recycling needs of 40 units plus retail space. We're looking at a future of significant odor, pest, and hygiene issues that simply cannot be contained on site. If this lot is too narrow to accommodate the legally required 7.5 meter setbacks, then the proposed density is fundamentally inappropriate for this land. Finally, we must address infrastructure. Our community already faces tangible flooding risks. Our sewers were not designed for this scale of intensification. Given Toronto's history of basement flooding, we are not confident that these studies account for the cumulative impact of growth at this scale, especially considering the intensification anticipated under the proposed North York Centre secondary plan. Granting an exception of this magnitude just months after the OLT settled the law would set a dangerous precedent for all of North York. I urge this council to deny these exceptions and hold the developer to the 7.5 meter side setback standard. Thank you for your time and your leadership in this matter. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your comments. Are there any questions for the deputant? Okay, no questions. Thank you for your comments. I don't have any other speakers on the item. Questions for staff? Councillor Cheng and then Councillor Carroll. Oh,
Thank you. Staff, it would be helpful if you could speak to the setback concerns as laid out by the deputant, please.
Excuse me. Through the chair, the setbacks were addressed. This is part of the amendment process that we are considering this morning, and the setbacks were negotiated through with the developer over a period of time that we felt that this would be appropriate for the site. The 7.5 meter setback, if it were to be applied, would result in a building footprint of about 10 meters, and so it's a little unreasonable to impose a 7.5 meter setback on either side of the building.
Is there concern that a 2 meter setback or 2.4 meter setback, the impact on neighbors is actually quite significant? Was that taken into account in the decision to allow for a significantly reduced setback?
Yes. The primary concerns were around privacy and viewing in and out of the development. And we've addressed that by, the proposal includes transom windows, which allow light. They're positioned at the top of the walls inside the units. And they allow light, but not, do not permit viewing, really, in and out.
I believe the local residents have also expressed concern of loss of natural light, because that is a very narrow distance, and in fact, it's a row of townhouses that align, so the gap is not simply a side wall of a house, it's actually a row of people's dwellings that are now going to be facing a wall 2.4 meters from their property line. So I'm just wondering if there has been some consideration of access to light and the imposition of such a large structure that's so close to their home.
There was a sun shadow study submitted by the applicant, and staff evaluated it and concluded that it would be within acceptable shadowing limits.
Through the chair, Councillor, just to clarify, the 7.5 meter side yard setback is only required for a portion of the building, beyond 25 meter depth. So the first 25 meters of the building are meeting the 2.4 meter setback required in that bylaw.
So the bylaw accepts 2.4 meters from the property line along 25 meters, and anything beyond the 25 is required to be at 7.5, but this application is amending that.
That's correct. I will qualify, the 2.4 meter requirement is if there are no primary windows in that wall. So the proposed building only has
Transom window.
yeah, so windows that are kind of above your head to allow natural light into the building without allowing for overlook or privacy by residents in the building being able to look out.
Okay, and so is the bylaw 2.4 meters? Is that the bylaw, or has there been an amendment to that?
The draft bylaw before you
Or no, what is
has-
required, not what we're proposing here, but what?
So the
what is the
citywide major streets bylaw requires 2.4 meters for a main wall that does not have primary windows in it.
Okay,
For the
so,
first 25 meters
so-
of the building. Beyond that, it would be
so on the
7.5.
east side, there is a reduction from 2.4 to 2 meters. Yes,
Through the chair, it's the 2 meter setback is to the west.
yes, yeah.
And 2.4 to the east.
Yeah, and my other question was regarding the deputant's concerns about flooding. What measures are being made to ensure that surrounding properties are not negatively impacted in the area of flooding?
Through the chair, we've placed a hold on the site that will only be able to be lifted once the
That's your last question.
the servicing requirements are acceptable to engineering.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Those are
you,
my
Councillor
questions.
Cheng. Councillor Carroll, I think you had questions for staff.
I do, and I hope you don't mind my asking, because this is in your ward, Mr. Chair, but I'm asking this because it's kind of an implication for this new build form that we're going to see more of. And what I wanted to ask about was the road widening. There's a requirement in here for a 4.9 meter road widening, and I'm wondering, is that going to be secured but not necessarily implemented? What is the plan there? Because this is just one small section of Finch, and yet it's secured in the agreement.
Through the chair, so the road widening comes through the official plan and the
Yeah.
planned right-of-way width for Finch Avenue. It would be treated like any other right-of-way width, where it doesn't mean that the traveled portion of Finch gets any wider. It may just be used for Boulevard, for landscaping, sidewalk, utilities, that sort of thing.
Okay. I don't know if transportation gets involved in this or not, but I'm wondering if this means, if it's gonna end up as a sort of a flexible easement space, or are we gonna put, problematic beautifying features on it? Because if we do this, if we secure this, and this begins to happen along Finch, it may be part of a solution. Finch, as you know, is a road that it's problematic to think about putting separated lanes on it, because there are many places along where it's entirely not wide enough. But it is possible to model here the type of thing where you end up with an extra wide sidewalk, and you could have bike lanes that are technically separated but on the sidewalk portion of the road. Are we leaving room for that type of future design?
Through the chair, I want to clarify, Councillor, it's not an easement. It will be land taken by the city.
Right, yeah, so it will be just truly city land, right?
Correct. I'm not aware of any future design planning for Finch at this moment in time, but if Transportation Services is here, they may be able to better answer that question.
I'm just concerned that while we want the front of the building to be attractive, but that there be some flexibility here. That we're going to capture this land, but it's going to have sort of minimal features on it, so that it could be considered as part of future design. I just want to leave the flexibility. Is that the intention?
Through the chair, in the world of technology, I've been confirmed that there is no design at this point.
Okay.
Through the site plan control process, obviously, we would look at things like tree planting and stuff in front of that site, but the larger corridor, there's no plan at this time.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Any other questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Cheng?
Thank you. I'm going to move this without recommendation. There is a large group of residents. Some of them feel they were not notified about today's meeting, but there are also several letters of concern. Change is never easy, and I do think that what the residents want, which is nothing being built there, is not going to happen. I think that we have continued to work with the applicant, and I just want to strengthen that communication before this is finalized. So we're just going to take one more kick at the can of having a conversation between the neighbors and the applicant, and then move forward at council. So I'm moving without recommendation. Thank you.
Just one question for the mover. Is it the residents to the north of the site? Okay, so, councillors, we have a motion on the floor to refer this to council without recommendation. There we go. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
Chair, can I just explain what that means to the resident?
Sure, if you need a minute, go ahead.
So just so residents know, when we move without recommendation, it is neither a refusal nor an approval. It just means that it's still pending, and we have a few more weeks before council where it will be finalized. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cheng. Just remember to hold the item at council. Item number... We have 5. There's no speaker. Okay. Okay, so we held 32.5, Yonge North Subway Extension, Ontario Line initiated zoning bylaw amendments, decision reports approval, but we had no speakers on the item, so questions for staff? Councillor Chang, it is in your ward.
Yes, this is for the Metrolink subway, Yonge North Subway Extension, and I will move staff recommendations.
Okay, staff recommendations moved on number 5, Yonge North Subway Extension. Very exciting to see this project go forward. The Finch station opened over 50 years ago. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We're going back to, sorry, Councillor Burnside, did you hold, you held item 3? Wynford Concorde Focus Area Study?
No, I did not.
Did you move those recommendations?
I don't think he gave me the opportunity.
Well, I made a note here that it was held by you. What would you like to do? You want to move the recommendations?
You would, yeah. I didn't.
Number 3.
Move recommendations, please.
Okay, Wynford Concorde Focus Area Study. Recommendations moved by Councillor Burnside. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, number 8, I have public speakers for 19 Lytton Boulevard, application to remove a private tree. Stephen Estrellas. I think that's the live mic over here. Thank you for joining us. Your 5 minutes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and council members. My name is Steve Estrellas. I am the homeowner for this appeal. I had previously submitted a letter and some photos in support of it. I'm happy to summarize that if needed, or to answer any questions you may have and add some color behind the letter. Mr. Chairman, how would you like to proceed?
Okay. You submitted correspondence?
Yes, there's a letter that in support of the appeal that I submitted a few days ago. I was told it would be provided to the council members. If that's not the case, I'm happy to summarize it.
Okay, so, Councillor Cole.
We'd like to hear from the deputy, yes.
Well, he says he's circulated correspondence.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you'd like a minute
Yeah,
to
sure,
summarize the correspondence, that's fine.
Happy to do that. I've been the homeowner since August 2023. The tree in question is located between the two driveways of my neighbor at 17 and mine. It was planted by a prior owner. I don't know exactly when. It was in place at the time. The reason I'm here before you actually is because my family and I do like and enjoy trees. We made a decision at the time we moved in not to remove this tree when it was well below the threshold that would have required a permit to do so. As time has gone by, it's become evident that this tree is posing a potential issue, and I have retained Cohen and Master, a tree services company that also does the maintenance on my property for other trees, to provide expertise and information. They did that on the initial application. Their view, to summarize, is that this tree really it's the wrong type of tree in the wrong location. Probably should never have been planted in the first place. It's a honey locust, which is considered a medium-sized tree, but this tree, this particular specimen, is quite large and it's continued growing. The diameter right now is 33 centimeters, which I understand is 3 centimeters above the threshold that requires a permit to remove. It's growing in a situation that's not optimal. There's most of the area around it is hardscape. The two driveways has very little soil. I understand from Cohen and Master that the root system can be quite aggressive, and we've seen evidence of that in terms of both driveways suffering damage. More importantly, they're saying the location and the area, the surroundings, just don't provide for an optimal condition for this tree to mature in a safe and healthy manner. So as time goes by, Cohen and Master's conclusion is this tree will become a problem. And I should have probably dealt with it when we moved in, but I would like to deal with it now rather than down the road. I do understand, because the initial application was rejected by Urban Forestry, that they have a mandate to protect the canopy, and I do respect that. The dilemma I face as the homeowner is I have a tree services company that I rely on whose view is a little bit different from Urban Forestry's view, which I believe they think the tree is in a fair condition and likely will not pose a hazard. So given the balance of interests, if Urban Forestry is not correct in its view, then the burden will fall on me as the homeowner and my neighbor, who I understand is also scheduled to speak virtually. That really, in a nutshell, is why I'm here. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
Yeah, I have a question, just out of curiosity. I don't know if you know this answer, but we're looking at the pictures of it. Was it originally paved all around there, or was that a more recent pavement?
No,
It seems
the
like
driveway
such a strange
was-
place to have a tree
Exactly.
of that size.
Yeah, when we moved in, that was the location of the tree. It was just on the side there. Yes, the driveway's been there from the time that I moved in. So my assumption is it was planted by I think the immediate prior owner. And they just kind of put it in there thinking it wasn't going to grow that big. And as I said, Cohen and Master has advised that this seems to be a larger specimen for this particular species of tree.
And are there garages at the back?
My garage right now is about 7 feet away from the trunk. My neighbor's home is his driveway is about 10 feet wide. And you can see from the photo there that's close. I'm about 12 or 13 feet from the foundation of my house. But I'm also concerned because we've had instances in the last few years where a lot of trees have come down, tree limbs and that sort of thing. Intensity of storms, climate change, whatever you want to point to as a factor. And if this tree, from what Cohen and Master has advised me, is growing in a manner that's not going to optimize its health, and that poses a risk then in terms of its ability to sustain that kind of environment. And so, as I said, their view is it's going to be a problem. I should also mention that I'm happy, as I indicated in the letter, I understand Urban Forestry, where they don't recommend removal, they do like to see a 5-to-1 compensation ratio, and I'm happy to provide that. I don't think there's any space on my property to do so, but so I'd be happy to make a monetary payment on that basis to more than offset, because I do, again, respect the fact we want to maintain the canopy of the city.
Okay, thank you. I was looking at I now see the garages in the other photos, but I was looking at the photo of the trunk of the tree.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Chernos-Lynn. Any other questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you very much. Yonge Kwong? Online?
Hi there. Sorry, I'm just joining virtually. Wish I could have been there in person. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. This is Yonge Kwon. I'm the owner and resident of 17 Lytton Boulevard, next door to 19. And I've been living at this address for about 15 years with my family, and including three kids. When we first moved in, the tree was not a concern or issue at all. Over the years, it's caused more damage every year. We did have the driveway resurfaced a few years ago, and I think, you know, a couple of years after that is when we started noticing the problem getting worse. I did submit 4 photos and a little commentary for the committee. I know you've got a busy agenda, so I didn't want to spend time presenting that live. I hope everyone's had a chance to see it, but if not, I can describe the issue. I think this is the first time I've seen the report and recommendation by Urban Forestry. And oh, I'm sorry, I'll start my video here. I don't know if you can see me here. So I've read the report by Urban Forestry, and I'd say a couple of things. One is this tree is the direct cause of the driveway damage. Any references to the foundation, we don't know. We haven't done studies, but our concern for our family is not necessarily any cosmetic damage to the driveway, and the foundation is unknown, or even maintenance. We're you know, happy to spend time and money on maintenance. It's really more for us about safety, because what you can't see in the photo from Urban Forestry, because they're so focused on the tree itself, the canopy and the root. I've shared those pictures just so you can see close up the impact on my driveway. And what it's done, what the damage has done, is it creates this pool where water collects, and in the sort of the shoulder seasons and in the winter, when it freezes over, I've got to put ice melt there, because it collects into almost like a welcome mat of ice in front of my side door, which we use more often than our front door. And so for us, it's become a safety issue more than a cosmetic concern. And so to address that, our plan was to resurface the driveway. But what I don't want to do is have to do it every, you know, couple of years and just see that damage. And so we are 100% supportive of this, obviously, and just wanted to share sort of a personal, how it's impacted us personally. And you really can't see that from the trees in the urban planning report. And it's gotten worse. If you compare the photos I've shared versus the ones in the urban forestry report, it has gotten worse in the year or so since their photos were taken. I'll pause for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Burnside?
No, I just want to vote.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Burnside. Thank you very much, Mr. Kwan. I have one more deputant on the item, Nicole Grado. Okay.
Hello. Yes. What I was going to say is that the problem is, as soon as you cut this tree, your soil is going to be even worse, because this is a honey locust bean tree. Because the tree is a legume, it provides nitrogen to your soil. So once you cut down this tree, you know, you won't be complaining about the tree anymore, but you'll be complaining about bare patches on your lawn and your garden. So I think this tree, the issue with the driveway, it is easily solved. Just replace the driveway with gravel. That way the tree roots can grow under it. The tree's not too big. This tree is actually quite beautiful and irreplaceable, in my opinion. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous tree, perfect tree. And it, quite frankly, would be a huge loss to get rid of this tree, which is a native species, by the way. It's not considered invasive. The honey locust is it's a fruit tree. It's actually in decline, and it's also an important food source for both humans and non-humans. It's actually the tree that John the Baptist ate. That's all he ate. He was a fruitarian, but that's a little off topic. He was a fruitarian who only ate locust beans. Honey locust beans, chutney. But anyway, this tree is actually it's the one thing that's keeping your not very good soil in any way soil. Without the tree, your soil is going to be basically sand. So you could cut this tree and then have basically sand. You're going to end up with with soil that's basically sand and clay. It's not going to be soil anymore because you won't have any nitrogen unless you pay money to put nitrogen fertilizer. But then that's kind of junk food for your lawn, and it's going to have to keep being reapplied. So I would say keep the tree. Find ways to coexist with the tree.
Okay,
There's
thank you for
certainly
your
can-
comments. Any questions for the deputant? Okay, thank you very much. Questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Cole.
I move that we allow the tree to be cut down and that the owner pay for 5 replacement trees to be planted in the community. So that's basically my motion.
Okay, motion is on the screen. Councillor Cole is requesting removal of the tree, or at least agreeing with the application. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 9, 103 Roslin Avenue, application to remove a city-owned tree. Eddie Doyle?
Good morning.
Hi, Mr. Doyle, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. As per the arborist report that was submitted to the city, the arborist believed that the tree in question qualifies under the City of Toronto tree permit bylaw. His report indicates the tree is in structurally unsound, weakened, in poor health, in decline with unbalanced crown, and has a root problem. The tree is also infested with little tiny bugs, and I'm not talking a small amount. It is a real nuisance. Every time I get out and in my property, if there's a little bit of wind, there's tons of those little bugs getting in your hair and everything. So it makes the summer very unenjoyable. It also shed throughout the summer. Something acidic about it burns the grass, so not only mine, but my neighbor. I also note that the tree location interferes with the power line, the main power line, going along the street, as well as the intersection with the power line going to my house. The city recommended the use of pesticides in pruning the tree. The arborists didn't believe that addressed all the issues with the tree, and it's not a solution. As I said, it makes the summer very unenjoyable. I'll keep fighting to get this tree replaced. I am willing to pay for the cost of removing the tree, planting another tree, as well as additional trees as requested by the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions for the deputant?
I do. Thank you for coming and your deputation. I just wonder if you could just speak a little bit about what the challenges are that this tree has proposed for you.
Well, a couple of concerns. One is being in poor condition, branch falling, the fact that it's at the intersection of the power line. The main concern is the insects and the fact that it's shedding towards, different type of leaves, I guess, throughout the summer. So it's a very dirty tree.
So it's the shedding of leaves?
Yeah, there's different type of leaves with that kind of tree, I guess, and it's shed throughout the summer, in addition to all the bugs.
And the bugs. Okay. And
as I said, there's something acidic about it that really kills all the grass underneath the tree and up to my neighbor.
Okay, I think I'll have some questions for staff about that. Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Councillor Chernoslin. Any other questions for the deputant? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nicole Corrado.
Hello. So basically what you're saying is you want to cut this tree for being a tree. Of course the tree has insects in it. Of course the tree drops leaves, drops seeds, drops stuff. It's a tree. It's going to do that. You replace this tree with another tree, and you're going to complain about the same things. I agree that you shouldn't use pesticides, but birds will just eat the insects, and if you cut this tree down, you'll be killing birds because you'll be destroying the nests. And so I think you should just leave this tree. By allowing this tree to be cut, you're setting a really bad precedent that a tree should be cut just for doing natural tree things. I think you need to just learn to coexist with trees, and trees are gonna tree. They're gonna be trees that just accept it.
All right, well, thank you for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you very much. Questions for staff? Councillor Carroll, Councillor Chernos-Lynn.
Thank you. This is one of those trees that I know trivia about from living on Sheldrake, not far from here, and there were other lindens, and aphids love lindens. Do we are there legal ways to address that? Because I know if you address the aphids, you've addressed a lot of the issues the deputant was talking about, the sap, all those sorts of things. Do we have under the pesticide bylaw, are there things you can spray on it to deal with some of those problems and then have a tree that's not only healthy but even healthier?
Through the chair, there are a number of ways, both pesticide and non-pesticide, to reduce or mitigate the problem, but they would not eliminate it.
Right.
We provided a number
have
of.
to maintain.
You're never going to you're never going to eliminate that aphid or insect problem. The best you can hope for is a reduction in their numbers over time.
Right. Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight, just in case you wanted to comment on it, this is another one of those cases where we require an arborist report from the applicant, but we have here a wild difference between the privately contracted arborist and the city's arborist. You found a healthy tree, not 20% dead?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. And even if it was 20%, that wouldn't change our opinion on it.
Oh, really? 20% dead means you still have a tree that's strong enough to withstand a year or two of weather.
It's the city's tree, and the city would maintain it according to the duty of care that urban forestry operations follows. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Councillor Burnside?
So that just raises a question in my mind. If 20% of the tree is, if you agree that 20% of the tree is dead, whatever, but it's still worth maintaining, what is the threshold? Just so we know, like, it seems like we have these tree removals all the time, and it's very unclear to me what that threshold of should be. If 20% of the tree is dead, that's acceptable?
Through the
If it
chair.
was, yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter if it was. Is it 30% is the threshold, 40%? Like, it'd be nice to have a number or an approximate number.
Through the chair, I really wish I could give you a number, but there's a lot of things at play that number wouldn't capture. For example, is the tree declining? Is it 20% that has accumulated, 20% dead branches? What is the size of those? Has it accumulated over 15 years? And pruning the tree once to remove most or all of that will give you another 15 years? Or is it that the case that the tree is dying at a rate of 20% per year, in which case we would probably see something else that is wrong with it? And we would look at it through a different lens. So 20% as a snapshot it doesn't address the size of the dead branches. 20% tiny twigs throughout isn't a big issue.
Okay, and sorry to interrupt, but so could I infer if someone comes and says 20% is dead, that's almost a meaningless number without further information? Is that fair?
I would not disagree with that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor President. Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
Thank you. I just have a couple questions for Mr. Bostock on this. So, you know, can you talk a little bit about what that the acidity is, or the sticky sap that the deputant was talking about? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Through the chair, they're separate things. Linden trees are not known to produce any kind of acidity or change the pH of the soil environment. My guess would be that there's a light competition issue. The tree casts shade. The shade makes it difficult for grass to grow underneath the tree. The sap that falls from the tree is a function of the aphid infestation. So aphids, and we see this in our house plants. I see that in the atrium above us right now. Aphids produce honeydew. They excrete, it's almost like urine, but it's not. They excrete this honeydew. It's a sticky substance that covers things underneath it. The more the aphids, the more the honeydew.
Okay. So like, for my part, I can understand that would be a frustration for the homeowner. Although there are ways to treat the aphids, it's not always effective. Is that the case? Like, there's ongoing maintenance to treat it?
That's correct, and as I said, you're never going to completely eliminate the problem. The best you can hope for is a reduction. Different strategies will give you different effectivenesses.
Okay, so there is a challenge there. I noticed, like, in the alternate recommendations from staff around replacing 5 trees, and I notice it also in the report from the independent, like from the person who was hired to look at the tree by Mr. Doyle, there's some discussion around putting in 2 different types of trees, like I think a Japanese lilac. There was some mention of those, but they sound like they're small trees. Can you, I mean, one of the things that is important when we think about our tree canopy, presumably, is the shade that casts in a warming climate, and when people are out for walks, that shade is important. Can you comment on that?
Through the chair, absolutely. The recommendations from the arborist are not definitive. It doesn't prescribe a replanting plan that urban forestry has to implement. This is a city-owned tree. It's on city-owned land. If community council today approves the removal, forestry will give the applicant, the owner, permission to remove the tree. The conditions are laid out, financial conditions are laid out in our alternate recommendation. That includes the payment of, our recommendation is 5 replacement trees, which we would receive as cash in lieu, but the city would do the actual planting. So we can take the private arborist's recommendations as what they are, their recommendations. We're not bound to follow those. The normal process by which a replacement tree is provided by urban forestry, and it's a group called Urban Forest Renewal. They scout the site, they make a recommendation for a new species to go there. They leave a door hanger for the property owner to engage and respond, and they can make requests. But ultimately, if the species that the owner is looking for is not one that forestry has in its inventory at that time, we wouldn't be able to come to an agreement there. And ultimately, the final authority for what we plant rests with urban forestry.
Okay, okay. Ultimately, like, when we just passed all these recommendations at IEC and at council recently about the importance of our tree canopy, and so understanding that there are challenges with particular types of trees and like the honeydew here, like, I can appreciate that, but I also want to make sure that where possible, ensuring that we have a tree canopy for the long term. And so that's not only having shrubs, but also having bigger trees where we can that provide shade, knowing that we still have to trim them around power lines and things like that, which we do as part of tree maintenance, right? So, okay, thank you for sort of elucidating some of that. So we can actually, it can be, you work with the homeowner to try and achieve perhaps a little bit of what they want, but also based on what the city has in stock and also what the city feels is appropriate for that site.
That's your last question.
Through the chair, that's right, and I would lean into the language of the alternate recommendation to the satisfaction of the Executive Director, Environment, Climate, and Forestry, so that final approval or final authority rests with us.
Okay. Thank you.
That was it. Unless you can get the majority of committee to do a second round, which...
No, I don't need to do a second round.
No, we're good?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay. Speakers, this is your time to shine.
I don't really need to shine. I do have some alternate recommendations that I'd like to move that does allow the homeowner to remove the tree and provide 5 replacement trees, a combination of on-site and cash in lieu, but that also requires one of those trees to be planted in the city right-of-way to the satisfaction of the Executive Director of Environment, Climate, and Forestry. And that way we ensure that we get the right tree. They're working with the homeowner on what would be that appropriate choice, but you get a tree hopefully that provides long-term health for our city, but also a long-term benefit to the homeowner as well. Thanks. I hope my colleagues will support this.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Chernos-Lynn. Councillor Carroll.
I'm going to need a recorded vote on that motion.
Okay. No questions for the mover. Okay. Any other speakers on the item? I would just simply say I'm going to go with the local councillor and trust her wisdom. Okay. The motion is on the screen. The alternative recommendations. There we go. Okay. All those, we're doing a recorded vote. All those in favor? Councillor Cole, Councillor Chernos-Lynn, Councillor Pasternak. Opposed? Councillor Carroll, Councillor Burnside, and Councillor Cheng. That loses on a tie. Well, if someone wants to move the stack of recommendations,
I'll table the staff recommendation.
All right, staff recommendations move. I would request a recorded vote on that too, because it's going to be close. All those in favor of the staff recommendations? Councillor Carroll, Councillor Burnside, Councillor Cheng. Opposed? Councillor Cole, Councillor Pasternak. And Councillor Chernos-Lynn. That loses on a tie. So it goes to no, it is not adopted. Okay, we can revisit this within a year. Okay. Okay, so next one is number 10, 14 Pressbury Street, application to remove a private tree. Nicole Grado.
Yes, we need to stop cutting these trees. The proposals to cut these trees is just ridiculous. I believe this is the black walnut, or is this? I'm trying to remember which tree this was, because there's so many tree items. Is this the which tree was this again? There's a lot of them.
This is item number 10, 14 Pressbury Street.
And this is this one of the honey locusts, or is this one of the black walnuts, or which type of tree is this again?
You have to make no. We're not going to a Q&A. You have to make your comments if you want to speak on
what I want to say is there's absolutely no reason to cut this tree. It doesn't matter what kind of tree they are. There's no reason to cut this tree. Norway maples, even though they're considered, quote, invasive, are naturalized and now hold an ecological function pretty much the same as other maple trees in North America, because Norway is pretty much the same as North America. And black walnut trees and honey locust trees, they provide food and shelter for wildlife, and all trees provide habitat for wildlife. They enhance the garden. They're not replaceable because if you cut a tree and replace them, the tree's not going to be part of the same family of the other trees. Trees exist in families. Mother trees feed their baby trees and their child trees, and you'll end up orphaning trees when you cut a tree. So you really can't replace them like you can replace a non-sentient item. The trees are just not replaceable. So I think the city, it seems like the city is just too quick to just say, well, yeah, let's just cut these trees. I would say no. If the arborists have said the tree is healthy and maintainable, there's no reason to cut the tree.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Questions for staff? I only have one listed here. Jonathan Chandler.
Good morning, members of council and everybody. I just wanted to check in to make sure you guys can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear you. You have 5 minutes.
Terrific. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for your time. This is in regards to 14 Pressberry, and I'm going to summarize basically what is going on. It's in regards to the application, how it was denied by Urban Forestry. So without further ado, I'm going to just kind of go right into it. I'm also the ISA certified arborist. I prepared the report. Anyways, so let's get into this. So the honey locust is a mature specimen at 63 centimeters DBH, indicating substantial canopy mass and corresponding structural load. Trees of this size in constrained urban settings require heightened risk assessment because their failures involve greater consequence potential. The tree is growing very close proximity to the dwelling, creating a clear target zone where any limb, stem, or whole tree failure could impact residents and occupants. There has been documented hardscape damage to patio stones, driveway, as well as the foundation, which demonstrates active root conflict with adjacent infrastructure. Root expansion causing displacement often indicates the tree has exceeded the available rooting space for the site. Repeated falling debris such as deadwood and branches is evidence of ongoing canopy shedding and elevated nuisance risk conditions in a residential occupancy zone. Reoccurring debris should be treated as a management concern, not merely cosmetic. Honey locust can develop included bark unions, deadwood accumulation, and decay pockets, and very brittle branch failure, particularly in mature urban specimens exposed to compaction, pruning, history of environmental stress. Given the tree's proximity, even a moderate branch failure contains a high consequence rating because the target, example, house patio area, is constantly occupied. So under the tree risk assessment qualifications set out by ISA, which is the International Society of Arboriculture, which Urban Forestry follows, you have three categories. You have likelihood of failure, likelihood of impact, and the consequences of failure. So in this case, the target occupancy is high, given the situation of where the house is. Consequences are significant, and there's already been observed site conflict with debris and hardscape damage, which materially increases the overall risk profile under the tract framework. While pruning and monitoring can mitigate some of these defects, it does not resolve the root zone limitations or proximity conflicts within the structure. Those are site design and capabilities, not maintenance issues. Continued retention would likely require an ongoing cycle of pruning, debris management, hardscape repairs, and repeat inspections, creating reoccurring costs without actually eliminating the core hazard. From an arboriculture standpoint, when a mature tree is causing structural conflict, repeated nuanced issues, and presents an elevated target risk in a confined residential setting, removal can be the most reasonable and management recommendation. I'd also like to point out too that I had a discussion with the homeowner, and he mentioned that, if I just bring up our conversation, that they had an issue with the tree interfering with the sewers, where he had to spend $5,000 to unblock his water lines, and they went 1 week without water, and this seems to be an ongoing issue, and he's going to want to be to burden the cost of the tree. So we are urging the city to allow us to remove the tree, and he will be replacing the required amount of trees in lieu of removal. And at this time, I am open to taking any questions from staff.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? No, I don't see any. Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Into committee, questions for staff? Speakers, Councillor Carroll?
Yes, Mr. Chair, you know, with respect, and I hope the local councillor doesn't mind, I'm going to move the staff recommendations on this one, and I'll tell you why. This gives me an opportunity to demonstrate why we sometimes can move in favor of and other times not. This is the same kind of tree that we just approved removal of, where it was planted in the wrong place and has really no chance of growing to become the beautiful specimen that this tree is. This tree, on the other hand, is more than 2 meters away from the foundation, and as we know, we've been told this many times by head of Toronto Water, head of forestry, you know, growth when you've got a tree planted in the right place like this, the roots go where there's a path of least resistance. And so if your pipes are not collapsed and your foundation doesn't have a crack in it, the roots go in other places. A crack forms, and yes, they will move into it. But with maintenance, we know from our city arborist's opinion that this tree can have a wonderful life and is a credit to its neighborhood. Even the private arborist, as we know from looking at the previous item, a private arborist can sometimes go over the top. But this tree is so beautiful that the private arborist said it's in fair condition and said nothing else, literally nothing else, because he wanted to maintain professional credibility, I would assume. So I'm going to go ahead and support the staff recommendation in this, which is to support the denial. And I hope the local councillor doesn't mind my doing so in such a forthright before he even gets to speak.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Carroll. Councillor Carroll has moved the staff recommendations to deny the request for removal. Okay, any other speakers on the item? Okay, I'm going to support the motion on the floor to deny the recommendation or deny the appeal. All those in favor? Councillor, record a vote. Yeah, Councillor Cole, Councillor Carroll, Councillor Chang, Councillor Pasternak. Opposed? Councillor Burnside. Councillor. I think we need Councillor Chernos-Lynn. Yeah, you can't abstain in this form. Okay, Councillor Chernos-Lynn votes in favor. Okay. Staff recommendations carried. Okay, if it is the will of committee, I'd like to move to our last tree removal application of the day. It's item number 1 on 15 Marchwood. We have 3. Well, I'm going to number 1, 15 Marchwood. Why, you want your item now? Is that what you're saying? It is not lost. And
Mr. Chair, just before that, I wonder if we could just canvass to see if the speakers on item 16 and 17 are here. Because if not, then we could quickly dispense.
We have 2 speakers on item 16.
Yes, so I wonder if we could tell them that my intention is to move a motion to refer this item back to staff, because we know we need to do more work, and another round of consultation. Yes, we did the consultation on a night it was 42 below is what happened there. And so that being the case, they may wish to depute when it does return to community council, not today.
Okay, so Councillor Carroll, on number 16, which is titled the Peanut Streets Plan.
Yes.
Are you looking to refer it back to staff?
That's right.
Okay.
And so I simply want to, if the deputants are available, I want to make that clear to them because they would probably wish to speak when the item does return to council.
Right.
Are they hearing us now?
Okay, so we have
Virtual or
one
person?
on the list. There were two. One has withdrawn.
Oh, okay.
Aram Itabaran.
Oh, okay. So if
Aram-
Aram is here or hearing us virtually,
So
if we could just let
Aram,
him know.
the item is going to be referred back to staff. So it will come back here again
After an additional consultation.
after additional consultation. So you have a choice. You could speak now, or you can come back when the item, and it may be amended, when the other item comes back for the second time.
Yes. Good morning, and thanks for the opportunity to speak. I don't know whether this will be the procedure, but I would like to speak in a sense that so my comments would be considered within a further sort of discussion in this item. Does this make sense, or
You can
it's gonna be-
speak now or when the item comes back.
Yeah, council is not going to debate the item today. We're going to refer it, and it will come back here after
Yeah.
we've done more work in the community.
if you would allow me just to put my 2 cents there, maybe this will trigger further discussion
Okay.
within these interested groups, and this could probably divert into the way that I would like to trigger this discussion further, right?
Okay, sorry to disrupt the order then, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
It looks like we will have to continue to hold it, and we'll get
Okay,
to it. Yeah.
let's hold it down. I've got 3 speakers on 1 Marchwood, but I do have a. Okay, I'm prepared to do a quick release here for item number 11, Wilson Avenue between Bathurst Street and Wilson Heights. I have a motion to refer it back to staff. Let's do a little more work on it before it comes back here for final debate. So we're asking staff I'm asking for a briefing and maybe even a public consultation because the report doesn't reflect the reality on the ground of the hazards in this area. So I'm going to refer it back to staff, and then it'll come back in May. All those in favor? Oh, you can hold it. You're going to hold it? You can hold it.
Can I just ask a quick question? So you're not asking for a further review, because this is a review. You just want another meeting?
Yeah, so
yourself.
I'd like to just have a briefing from staff to see where they're going with
Okay,
this.
okay, yeah, I can
Because
support
their
that.
staff recommendation is receipt, so not
Right.
much is happening there. So we just want to take a sober second look at this before it comes back for debate.
Okay, I can support that.
Okay, so referring to staff, this motion to refer back to staff is on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Now, Councillor Bernstein, you also have a quick release, an item that we reopened, and your plan. Okay, so we've added it to the. Okay, so.
Yes, but that speaker can only speak to the reopening,
Yeah,
correct?
no, we understand the rules of order. Okay,
Well-
so let's dispose of number 23. It's a reopening of item 31-9, Paper Birch Drive. And then your plan is to, we reopen and you want to defer it to the next meeting?
Well, I think it has to be deferred to the next meeting.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, the first vote is to reopen. Okay. Okay, the adoption is reopening, and then it's deferred to the next, debated at the next meeting. Okay? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so we're at top of the agenda, and then I know there are people here waiting for Parmbelle Crescent. We will be getting to that after this item, after we have item number 1, then item number 2. So those who are waiting around, I thank you for your patience, but we will be getting to that shortly. We're now at number 1, 15 Marchwood Drive, application to remove a private tree. I have 3 deputants. Richard Eaton. We don't see Richard Eaton. Paul Gardner? Okay, Mr. Gardner? Mr. Gardner?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for
Okay,
joining
sorry.
us. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you for the council for letting me speak. My name is Paul Gardner. I'm the resident at 15 Marchwood. I'll be pretty quick. I just wanted to reiterate what Richard, who the arborist is, who submitted the report, and just kind of reiterate what the report had said on cutting a Norway maple down for the really following 3 reasons. 1, it's unsustainable. 2, there's defects, and 3, there's cost. So with the unsustainability, this tree will eventually have to come down because it is diseased. The neighbor north of me have planted about 25 trees, and the problem is, as has been mentioned before in this meeting, that Norway maple is, in our opinion, an invasive species, and we're trying to let the new plantings grow, and it's pretty aggressive, and as well from a council's point of view, it's all about the canopy and the cooling of the neighborhoods. There's 3 other maples, Norway maples beside it that's fighting for the same light. And most importantly, there's this beautiful silver maple in my backyard that is eventually will be, I guess, quote unquote, attacked by the Norway maple. And the silver maple is just such a beautiful tree. So we believe that getting rid of this tree is not going to harm the canopy. So we do think eventually it's going to be taken out. Due to the second part, the defects, it has, I guess, on the report says it has an included bark disease, and we'll have to probably reapply in 5 years for this to be taken down. I believe the city's report said it was fine, but we believe there is defects to it. And I believe, as I mentioned, I rather have the natural growth of these new plantings that have happened over the course of the last 2 years to recreate that canopy. Thirdly, the cost. I just don't want to. It's unreasonable to ask me to cut through. It's hovering right against a cabana, and basically that's not the city's problem. So they're going to ask me to cut through the roof to allow for the trunk on a diseased trunk to impede on it, and I don't think that's reasonable. And just finally, from a cost perspective, it will be taken down because it is diseased, and we believe that why not do it now when you have also this competing growth and a natural backyard that creates tremendous amount of coverage. It is an invasive thing. And I don't think I have anything more, and I don't want to waste your time. So that's what we have. And I believe in your hands is the report, or you've seen it before.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Now, I noticed that I have visited the site. I think you're aware of that. Both households where the tree is located and the adjoining households support the removal. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And this.
And
this-
sorry to interrupt, it is on a line. We had to put the fence around it. It's literally in between both properties. And of course, it was never wanted. It was just, a fallen helicopter 35 years ago or whatever, 20 years ago.
Now, how aggressive is this? Now, you mentioned it's diseased. How aggressive is this?
As far as I know, I thought Richard was going to speak, but it's called an included bark, which is an overlay on two trunks, and it is very aggressive because it is knocking out. I'm an expert only so much, but it is knocking out a lot of the tree growth that we want to happen, that my neighbor north of me planted, as well as I mentioned a silver bark that I do not want to lose. That's right beside it, and it is. I'm not an expert in tree aggressiveness.
Okay. You mentioned it could damage a tree next to it. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, there's a beautiful silver maple I meant, and as well, it's right up against this structure, which is not the city's problem, but it is it's going to impact the structure, and I'll have to probably cut a hole in the roof or something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Any other questions for the deputant? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Back to Richard Eaton. Were we able to get him on the line, or no? No Richard Eaton. Nicole Grado.
Hello. A couple of things. The main concern about this particular Norway maple was that the tree was apparently in the way of a cabana, I believe. And I think at the fence, well, you could just apply for a fence exemption and move the cabana. You don't have to cut the tree. As for the tree being aggressive, well, I don't think the tree is intentionally trying to destroy other trees. And the idea that a Norway maple is invasive, well, Norway maples are naturalized. They're hyper abundant because they're well adapted to the urban landscape, and nobody has ever considered that this tree is potentially actually benefiting the silver maple, because the tree is connected to other trees via a mushroom network underground, and it's possible this tree has these Norway maples potentially have adopted the silver maple into their family. It's quite possible. This Norway maple, they're like I said, so-called invasive is only because the other species are in decline because, of climate change and habitat loss. So what happens is when you destroy other trees to build the city, then some trees who are better adapted to an urban environment will provide species substitution. So it's just that Norway maples are maybe more adapted than silver maples and other trees. So they now have filled that ecological niche that other trees have filled. And the biomes in Norway are pretty much the same as the biomes in Canada. So I don't think the tree, a deciduous forest in Norway is pretty much the same as a deciduous forest in Toronto. So I think the tree, even if they're not originally from Canada, is going to provide the same ecological function. And it's really a bad idea to be cutting trees just because of their perceived invasiveness, just because they're not originally from here, without considering the benefits they provide. And also, it's not a good idea to be cutting trees in the spring or summer when there's birds nesting in them. And Norway maples, just like maples, can also produce sap.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? No? Okay. Thanks very much. We'll bring this into committee. Any questions for staff? No questions for staff? Speakers other than me? No? Okay, I'll speak very briefly. I did visit the site. I met with the arborist. I've looked over the report and, of course, the arborist report. And I'm going to move the alternative recommendations. This was a borderline case where it looked like a good tree, and the staff report is convincing. But I'm leaning towards the two property owners. Remember, this straddles sort of a property line. I see some kind of a structure that cannot be moved, that clearly, as the tree grows and changes, would be damaged. They are detecting some disease, the acceleration of which is in debate. The secondary bark, the secondary bark in the lower stem is obviously a concern. So I am supporting the homeowners in the neighborhood. They will be required to plant 5 replacement trees on site. Councillor Carroll?
Yeah, just so that we have the same situation as last time, so I'm going to put the staff recommendation on the table as well to be voted on. With respect, I want a recorded vote on the alternate recommendations that you're moving, Mr. Chair, so I might as well go ahead and place my preference, which is the staff recommendations to be voted on. And my reason being that it takes a number of decades for a tree to get this size, and so the tree was there long before the cabana, and with a little careful design, you could have given yourself another 10, 12 inches of clearance and not had a cabana problem at all. That cabana structure looks fairly recent. It's not a 50-year-old building. That's a certainty. So I'm going to support staff's recommendations on this. It's another case also where the private arborist is giving a very convenient description, although again, to maintain his credibility in the professional community, has written a whole lot of interesting tales about the tree, but not named the condition of the tree. We're frustrated at this point by the private sector arborist community, and I'm moving the staff recommendations to make that clear.
Okay, Councillor Carroll, thank you very much. The alternative recommendation we will vote on first. That will be on the screen in a recorded vote. All those in favor? Councillor Cole, Councillor Chernos-Lynn, Councillor Pasternak, Councillor Burnside, Councillor Cheng. Opposed? Councillor Carroll. Okay.
So, Councillor, Mr. Chair, I can withdraw the staff recommendations because the outcome is clear in the recorded vote.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I had placed the staff recommendation.
Right,
I'm withdrawing that.
Yeah,
because
it's redundant.
The outcome is clear.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, number 32, 8 Parmbelle Crescent zoning amendment application, final report. I'm going to hand the chair over to Councillor Cheng for a few minutes to hear speakers.
Okay, thank you. We are moving to NY 32.2. First speaker is Lee English. Is Lee English here? Welcome, Lee. You have 5 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you. My name's Lee English. I'm a land use planning lawyer with the firm of Borden Ladner Gervais, LLP. I'd like to introduce myself as an amateur arborist after the deliberations this morning, but that would be misleading. I'm here today on behalf of my clients, Stephen and Wendy Cole, the longtime residents of 12 Barnwood Court, which is immediately to the rear of 8 Parmbelle, the property that's subject of this application. Given this abutting relationship between the subject property and my client's property, the concerns raised in the staff report regarding drainage, built form and massing, and the resulting overlook and privacy impacts on my client's property are particularly acute. So we're here today to ask you to endorse staff recommendations that council refuse this application. A number of neighbors are here today. A few of the chorus of voices who share their opposition. There was a community consultation meeting in early April, and I believe over 100 people attended, with a strong majority opposed to the application. So we provided a written submission in advance of this meeting on April 24th, 2026, which encloses a summary from myself, as well as a planning opinion from an experienced professional planner, Mr. Michael Manette, and a servicing peer review from an engineer with Croziers. Like city staff, Mr. Manette opines the proposal does not respect and enforce the physical character of this neighborhood, and therefore does not conform with the official plan. This site is buried deep within the neighborhood designation. It is a residential detached zone and very much away from major streets or any other areas where intensification of this sort would be better suited. The servicing peer review identifies technical deficiencies with the functional servicing and stormwater management report submitted with the application, and the need for a hydrogeological report. To date, no hydrogeological report has been filed, as far as I'm aware. And while there are many reasons to refuse this application, as set out more clearly in the staff report and Mr. Manette's opinion, the various submissions from the neighbors who provide a sort of genuine, practical description of their concerns. Today I'll focus on one particular challenge with this application, which is the proposal to split this lot into 4 pieces. In my view, this is a fundamental flaw with the proposal and fatal to the application. Other issues include tree removal, the intensity of the development, how that will practically work from snow clearing, traffic management, the massing, the build form, and impact on adjacent lands. But as I said, I will focus on exclusively the proposal to subdivide the lot into 4 separate parcels. Ironically, notwithstanding the fact this is advanced as a means to introduce gentle intensification in neighborhoods, this proposal could very well actually discourage the sort of missing middle gentle intensification that the application purports to promote. Creating new small parcels and new small lots has long-term implications. It's like unringing a bell to consolidate these back into one lot. A larger lot provides more flexibility for different types of intensification proposals. And allowing this proposal on this site may then create a precedent for lot splitting throughout the neighborhood, which would further destabilize the area and potentially impact city plans to introduce gentle intensification in the neighborhood's designation. So our letter includes a recent submission to the province from the city's chief planner, Jason Thorne, and this is about the proposal to reduce or eliminate minimum lot sizes in Ontario. Mr. Thorne's submission is less than 5 months old and states reducing or removing minimum lot size may discourage intensification over the long term and frustrate gentle density. This is exactly the point we are raising today. Not only is there the very real practical concern with splitting the lot in the manner proposed, subdividing the lot would be contrary to policy 4.1.5 of the official plan, which requires that development in neighborhoods respect and reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood, including prevailing lot sizes and configuration. Given the nature and extent of the concerns with this application, no revision or further study will remedy the proposal. Therefore, it is best to simply recommend refusal now, rather than defer to allow the applicant more time to revise the proposal. And given the changes to third-party appeal rights under the Planning Act, as you know, neighbors and third parties can't appeal approvals. If council has any doubt as to the merits of this application, it should be refused. If the decision is to refuse, the applicant, if they wish, could appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and we could really have this out on the merits. Or, on the contrary, if the application is approved, our clients would have no recourse and no ability to appeal. So thank you for your opportunity to speak, to address these concerns today. Thank you to Councillor Burnside and his staff as well, and Mr. Heamy from City Planning, who were very helpful throughout. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions of the deputy? Seeing none, thank you very much, Lee. Next, just so everyone knows, Vera Stratka from Don Mills Residence is no longer able to join us, so we're going to the next deputant, who is Laura Kell. Is Laura here? Hi, welcome, Laura, and you have 5 minutes.
Good morning. We just made it under the morning. My name is Laura Kell, and I reside directly beside the proposed build. I'm at number 10 Parmbelle. My husband and I have lived here for over 20 years and in the neighborhood in general for 25 years. I am here to oppose this application and to support the factual findings of the city experts as well as our own engineer and planner. This proposed build is essentially a 4-story townhouse complex on a single lot. It is immense in size and does not offer any improvement to the Crescent nor to the general neighborhood. It does not offer affordable housing. It is a set of luxury townhouses with deficient parking, no thought whatsoever to complementing the visual harmony of the street, no thought to gentle intensification, and no consideration or respect for what is appropriate to the site. Also, my trees are in jeopardy. I'm just gonna leave it there for now, but that's where I stand, and I appreciate everyone's assistance with this, particularly John Burnside and Mary Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next deputant is, sorry, any questions of the deputant? Nope. Okay, next deputant is Nancy Ewan. Yewem. Online, okay. Hi, Nancy, are you with us? Nancy, can you hear me? Can you unmute your microphone, please?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. You have 5 minutes, Nancy. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Nancy Ewan. I live at 49 Groveland Crescent, which is a short distance southeast of 8 Parmbelle Crescent. I have lived in my home for approximately 32 years, and as such, I am very familiar with the neighborhood. As set out in my letter of opposition sent to the Planning Department, and my more recent letter, which was sent to the committee that's hearing this morning, the rezoning application proposed development do not in any way, shape, or form fit within the existing character of the neighborhood. The proposed lot areas, frontages, and lot configuration, building height, scale, massing, and building type are all material changes that would have adverse impacts on the surrounding properties and the wider neighborhood, changing the streetscape that has endured in this neighborhood for more than 60 years. I believe this is in direct contravention to a fundamental tenet of the official plan with respect to the intensification of neighborhoods, which states that new development should respect and reinforce the existing character of the neighborhood. More specifically, section 4.15 of the official plan sets out certain criteria that must be met to meet this objective. As set out in my 2 letters of opposition, the proposed development fails to meet the majority of these criteria. I believe there are 9 criteria, 2 are not applicable, and it fails the other 5. I have also, through my review of the plan, noted language in section 4 of the official plan that states that development is not precluded when physical characteristics are not the most frequently occurring, but do exist in substantial numbers in the geographic neighborhood. There are no townhouses in the geographic neighborhood. This suggests to me that the townhouse development is precluded as none actually does exist. Given same, I respectfully request that this committee uphold the decision of the Planning Department and refuse the zoning amendment and the application for redevelopment. I thank you for your time this morning, and that is the summary of my remarks. Like I said, I can redirect you to more specific details of each of those points as set out in my 2 letters of opposition.
Thank you, Nancy. Any questions of the deputant? Seeing none, we will now move on to Barbara Phillips. Welcome, Barbara. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, I don't live on Parmbelle. I live at 58 Beveridge. But I am very much a part of the neighborhood of Parkwoods Donalda. I do understand and I support the intent of the province and the city to engage in gentle density. But this development would not serve first-time home buyers. It would be well above the first-time buyer price point. At the team meeting, that was one of the questions that was asked. of the agent of, that was speaking on behalf of the owner, and he did not want to answer that question. That's a little suspect to me. According to prices of similar townhouses in this area, the sale prices are in the 2 to 3 million range. That's definitely not a first-time homer range. The development, if it is approved, would be the first of its kind in this neighborhood and would open the door to many more. The other problem that kind of causes too is some of the schools, because of population, and there's a lot of schools in the neighborhood, I think there's 17 schools in the neighborhood, it introduces portables. I know I have a couple kids, they didn't like the portables too much. Parkwoods is a very diversified community, and it does already have the missing middle housing throughout the neighborhood. I read all the information, and one of the things, the Protect Neighborhoods on Toronto, I might have the name wrong, they basically spoke about this community, and the pushback would be exclusion. Contrary to Neighbours Toronto, Parkwoods is not a community of exclusion. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's a community of inclusion on so many levels. I've lived in this community 35 years. And of course, new developments are welcome. They're all preferably developments that fit in the character of the original idea of the Don Mills Garden City planning. Lots of presence, dead ends, winding, and lots of green space, and lots of trees. The townhouse block such as this is a more intense development versus a multiplex, which can also serve as generational house potential. So what also is the townhouse development would result in a significant loss of front yard, soft landscaping on this property. It doesn't conform with Toronto, in my opinion, with Toronto's official plan. There's, that street with regards to TTC access, et cetera, it's a bit of a challenge. It is a great community, and I really hope that you guys will turn this down. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? No? Okay. That's all the speakers we have on the list. Questions for staff? No questions? Councillor Burnside?
Yeah, I'm going to be, no questions.
No? Speakers?
Yeah, I'll just be very brief because everyone has.
Well, someone has to move the recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Burnside?
That's the brevity part. So I'm going to move the staff recommendations, and thank you for the thoughtful deputations. They were concise and to the point. It's very nice to actually get that on a development. I think the key thing, this is obviously going to come to City Council, so we want to clear this first hurdle, which is to support the staff recommendations. And I think the key point here is that when Council makes changes and they're affecting the streetscape and the built form and all those sorts of things, we go through an official plan amendment. And that's the proper process to do that. Changing the zoning, a bylaw amendment is not the proper process in my opinion. This would actually have quite an impact on the built form. And I think, what's really important when we talk about development is the integrity of the system and people actually believing in the system. There are rules, and we have to obey those rules. And when we talk about density and ends justifying the means, it's a slippery slope, and when people lose faith in the system, that's a real problem. So I would like to thank staff for recognizing that approving this is not the way to go. If council decides that we need to introduce townhouses throughout the city in places that they're not currently allowed, then the process is to do an official plan amendment and have the necessary consultations that go with that. Unfortunately, I do think this is going to keep going up the ladder, even if council agrees. When hopefully council agrees that to reject the application, my fear is it will go to the land tribunal, but we'll fight the good fight.
Okay, so Councillor Burnside, you're moving staff recommendations. Any other speakers on the item? No? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We're going to jump over to My gosh, you've got quite a fan club here. We're going to jump over to item number 14, Vision Zero Road Safety Plan, speed limit reduction to 30 kilometers per hour. Councillor Chernos-Lynn, did you hold the item down?
I did. I have a couple brief questions for staff, and then I just want, and that's really it.
Okay, I do not have any deputants on the item, so let's go to questions for staff. Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
Thank you. I just want to understand how the new signage works. I understand the new 30-kilometer signs will only be placed at entry and exit points to and from designated areas, with other streets like collectors and arterials will still be posted with their, or will other streets like collectors and arterials, will they still be posted with their higher speed limits? And just as a follow-up to that, are we concerned that this might be confusing? I guess you've probably done this in other areas, and I just wonder what you could give us a sense for those of us in Ward 15 where this is new and excitingly new coming. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong way. I'm so used to turning. This morning I've been asking so many tree questions. Sorry, apologies. So I just want to make sure I understand sort of what it's going to look like. And I'm sure you have lessons learned from other places that you could impart, but perhaps you could just kind of walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, through the chair. So signage for the area speed limit reductions is placed at the gateways into the neighborhoods that to the local road network where there's the speed changes from an arterial or a collector with a higher speed limit greater than 30 to the local 30-kilometer an hour area. So basically not all local roads will be signed. The signage is only placed at the gateways into the neighborhoods or the areas where the speed limit is 30 kilometers per hour. Collectors and arterials with higher speed limits will still have the traditional speed signage of 40 kilometers an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, whatever speed they're posted at. So those signs will remain, but the 30-kilometer area speed limit neighborhood, those speed signs will only be at the gateways into those neighborhoods. We have experienced some confusion. There is a period of adjustment that residents go through to get used to the new signage, but typically it settles down after a few months, and when the residents and the people in the community get used to the new signage.
So that's good to know, and I think it'll be important for us to message about that. Presumably, if you have a collector or an arterial that kind of goes through the neighborhood, as you're leaving it into another section of it, it'll be signed as a speed change?
Yeah, that's correct. So if you're on a local road that's 30 kilometers an hour and you go through an intersection of a collector or an arterial with a higher speed limit, you will see a 30 kilometer an hour area speed end sign approaching the intersection. And once you get to the other side of the intersection, you'll see another sign that says 30 kilometer per hour begins sign again. That's just a requirement of the Ontario Traffic Manual and the Highway Traffic Act. Whenever you're potentially leaving that 30 kilometer an hour area, we're required to post those signs to say that you're leaving and now you're entering another area.
Okay, great. And what is the timeline for installation? When will this start, and when do we expect to have this complete?
So Ward 15 is scheduled for sign installation late summer, early fall of this year, and it'll be completed by early spring in 2027.
Okay, all right. And then, is it possible for our office to make suggestions of priority areas within that?
Yes, absolutely. We've done that with other wards. So if there's any areas that you want to prioritize, we can work with you to get those done.
Okay, we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes, Councillor Carroll.
Yeah, just a quick question, because it's a follow-on from the local councillor's question about confusion. And I'm wondering if we can avoid some confusion here. During my implementation, the ward that I represent, there were a couple of legacy cases where, while the speeds were all still 50 kilometers an hour, by motion, we had here and there moved 40 kilometers. We had to reduce the 50 down to 40 in key places inside local road networks like this. And those signs were sort of left over and left behinds. So the 30 implementation went in. They went in and they followed the map. They installed exactly where you were and left a few legacy 40s. Has there been a scan to make sure that those aren't going to be? I'm looking at the sample, figure 1 in the report is just a sample of part of the implementation of this ward. Has there been a bit of a scan so that there are lessons learned?
Through the chair, not yet, not in Ward 15, but the crews will go out and scan to make sure that all the legacy old 40-kilometer-an-hour signs are removed during the installation.
And then once that is done, I think the only thing left will be, once we get this done, the only thing left will be Ward 16, where the former councillor had some motions, and then the current councillor had some motions. Does that become a problem at some point in time where we have an exempt area when in fact the community-wide culture is now moving towards everyone's assuming 30?
Potentially, yes. So, residents get used to a consistent approach across the city, and then when they get to one ward specifically, it's different. So there's some potential confusion that can arise from that.
So we can look at that at some point in the future.
I hope so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Councillor Burnside?
On that. Okay, so hold on. If you're driving a motor vehicle and you're going along wherever you're going along, are you not supposed to look at what the signs say, like if there's a stop sign or a do not turn sign, a turn prohibition?
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely. A speed limit sign would kind of fall into that. Aren't we trying to also get away from people driving on quote unquote autopilot? We actually want them to read the signs. So I'm not sure how if it's 30 on the other side of Finch, but 40 on this side of Finch, like how that's a problem, because the expectation is for people to read signs and not drive an autopilot.
Yeah, I think we're trying to shape driver behavior so that they know if they're on a local road, if they see houses on a local road, everyone's sort of familiar with what a local road is, that they're going to go 30. And that's going to be consistent anywhere in the city.
Okay, so let me ask this way. If the last study that was done by the Transportation Department, when you lowered the speed limit by 10 kilometers per hour without any accompanying enforcement, changes in enforcement, that is, what was the actual reduction in travel speed?
I apologize, I don't have that information in front of me, but we can get that information.
Does anybody know? Well, I actually know the answer, but I'm just wondering if anyone else does. If I told you that it was 2 to 3 kilometers, as I was told by, I believe I was told by Mr. Doyle, would that surprise you? So dropping the speed limit by 10 kilometers yields a 2 to maximum 3 kilometer reduction in the speed of vehicles. Would that surprise you, or would you kind of think, yeah, that makes sense?
It's a little surprising to me, but
okay. Well, maybe you can report back, but that was a few years back when they did that study. That was I think the point was that without changes in the road design, without enforcement, with all those accompanying things. The fact that you might see a house doesn't change your most drivers' behavior. Oh, maybe we need to do another study. Thank you.
We're good? Okay, any other questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
I'm just really pleased to see this happening. We've waited a really long time in Don Valley West. I think, as many people know, we get a lot of concerns about speeding in this ward. We've had several tragic accidents, several in the last few years. So I'm just really, really pleased that this is getting done, and I would like to move staff recommendations. Thank you.
Okay, staff recommendations moved by Councillor Chernos-Lynn. Any other speakers on the item? Okay, then Councillor Carroll, we're going to vote on this item. Okay. Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 15, traffic calming, Chipsteed Road. I have a deputant on the item. Don Liscombe? Online? Don Liscombe? Okay. Don Liscombe? *6 to unmute. Is he there? Okay. Councillor Chernos-Lynn, this is in your ward. Chipstead Road traffic calming. Any questions for staff?
I just wondered to staff what the implementation timeline is for these speed humps.
Through the chair, I don't have that information at this time, but we can certainly reach out to your office with the timeline.
Okay, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
That's it? Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
I know Don Linscomb wasn't able to dial in or perhaps left due to another commitment, but I just want to thank him. He's been instrumental and very passionate about making this happen, and glad to see this moving forward. And we'll look forward to hearing from staff about when that will be so that we can communicate that to residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other speakers on the item? No? Councillor Chernos-Lynn has moved the recommendations for speed humps. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 16, Councillor Carroll. So the Peanut Streets plan, I don't remember, did he want to speak now or when it comes back?
He does. He wants to speak today.
Okay, Aram Itabaran?
We've made it clear to him what we're doing. He still wants to speak, so let's go.
Aram?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak.
You're welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. I am responding to the proposed speed hump installation under the Peanut Street plan. I support the road safety and traffic calming where it is justified. However, the measures chosen should match the actual condition of these streets. In many parts of the Peanut community in North York, traffic is already slow moving and constrained. Adding more physical barriers in these circumstances risks creating unnecessary delays, driver frustration, increased fuel consumption, additional emissions without proportional sort of benefits out of this, right? We should be careful with the public funds and prioritize solutions that are effective, evidence-based, efficient, and future-proof. Instead of relying on these speed humps, the city should really consider design that naturally slow traffic while keeping it moving safely. One proven example is modern roundabouts. Roundabouts reduce speed naturally through geometry, not through repeating stops and accelerations. They allow drivers to proceed when safe, reducing unnecessary idling, improving traffic flow. They are also associated with fewer severe collisions, lower long-term maintenance costs, and reduced emissions. These are not experimental ideas. Roundabouts are widely used in Europe and increasingly across the Ontario municipalities such as Ottawa, Waterloo region. They work there too. My request is simple. Before spending public money on measures that may create ongoing inconvenience, please reassess the proposed hump installation and consider more efficient alternatives such roundabouts. We should be building infrastructure that moves people safely and efficiently, not forcing them to stop when there is no reason to stop. Thank you, and I yield back.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? Okay. Aram, thank you very much. Questions for staff? No questions for staff. Speakers? Councillor Carroll.
Yes, as I flagged this morning, I'm going to move referring this back to staff. Fortunately, some of the actions are divided up into two pieces so that we can proceed with some and not others. On some of the items in 16 are some of the ones that we're still getting a whole lot of questions about. And we understand that because the consultation on this has been a lot of review work and multiple times staff have had dialogues, but the more finalized recommendations here, when we brought them forward, very wintry night. And so now we're having people say, hey, you never asked us about this. So I'm going to refer it back. We're going to do one more quick round, and then I'll be able to come back. So I would appreciate support to refer this item.
Any other speakers on the item? Councillor Carroll is referring it back to staff. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Now, there's a second report here.
Yes.
Also held by you. And I don't...
Well, there was a speaker registered, but I believe it was the speaker who withdrew. If there isn't another speaker, I'll proceed with...
I did have an Andrew Rupt at one point.
Yes.
But I don't know if they still are interested. Yeah, so he is withdrawn. Okay. But we have a new speaker, Greg
Right.
Rodriguez.
Oh. Fine.
I don't think so. I don't see a Greg Rodriguez in the room. Maybe online. No? Okay, so we do not have any available speakers on the item. Questions for staff? No?
Seeing none, I can just, I'm going to move the recommendations and set.
Okay, so...
These are the ones where the community has full consensus.
Okay, so speakers, Councillor Carroll?
Yep. I just spoke.
That was it? Wish we could all be that brief. Okay, so any other speakers on the item? Okay, so Councillor Carroll has moved recommendations, staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so we do have a new walk-on item. It's safety on Caledonia. If you've ever driven Caledonia, it is a risky area. So we need two votes here. One vote, first vote is to add it to the agenda. The second vote is to adopt the item. So, Councillor Cole, this is your item. Caledonia, yeah. So the first vote is to add it to the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And has everyone taken a look at it? It was on the screen a minute ago.
Yeah, it's basically a request for a study to see if we can make Caledonia Road safer. There was a serious accident there Sunday night. A family got hit. All three of them got hit by a car, including a one-year-old baby. So,
Yeah. Okay. Any other speakers on the item? Councillor Cole has moved his letter of recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, last two items are the bills and bylaws. Councillor Burnside, we need you to vote on these two important items. Okay, Councillor Burnside, would you please do the bills?
Yeah, the bills 426 to 428, bills 430 to 432, and bill 434 are prepared for the April 29, 2026 meeting. 32 of the North York Community Council be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. One more. Confirmatory bills. Councillor Cheng.
That confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the North York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 32 on April 29, 2026 be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
Great, thank you very much. Councillor Cheng, I couldn't have done it better myself. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. That concludes our business for today. Thank you very much, city staff, clerks, members of the public, and of course, councillors. Enjoy the rest of the day. And just a reminder, Councillor Burnside, campaign motto is still in place, done by noon.